I think you can't work on your relationship effectively unless you're working on yourself. The inner work process, working on your own stuff, really, that is kind of like slightly above working on the relationship, because any work you do on the relationship is directly connected to how much work you've done on yourself. You're only ever going to be able to like get to certain levels of not just healing together, but like growth in a relationship based on how much work both of you have done on yourself.
We'll make it out and fall in love tonight. Ain't nothing needed but a feeling right. Just take a chance.
Did you do jumping jacks?
I didn't do jumping jacks.
I didn't either.
I thought you were going to.
I was, but I got nervous.
About doing jumping jacks?
There were people out there.
You thought they were going to see you?
Well, I just got embarrassed, so I just did, instead of like jumping.
Did you just do like little hop jacks?
I didn't hop.
Jumping
I
jacks,
just did like where I threw my arms up and down, and then heart openers open wide. So I looked like I was trying to fly instead of jumping jacks, because I thought that was way less weird.
Jumping jacks, people are like, oh, that lady's doing jumping jacks because she must have been driving for a while and she needs to get some, and as opposed to whatever you were doing. Like, what is that woman doing over there?
Trying to not make it awkward, because I felt awkward.
You nailed it.
I did.
We are trying something fun on our anniversary trip. This is our 10-year anniversary, and we're on our way back home. We've just spent the week in Florida, and we thought we would have a fun time, not just recapping our trip with you, but also we're going to be getting, the goal of this podcast, we'll see whether or not we make it. The goal of the podcast is to come up with 10 things that you need for a healthy, long-term, beautiful relationship.
Also, because we don't pre-plan anything, we're just going to wing these 10 things during the episode. And what comes to us is what we're supposed to say.
Yes, that's
well,
the
or
goal.
At least do you have a back pocket full of
10 things?
Tips, tricks, and licks for on how to do it? Like,
I don't.
Okay. You're
Humor.
like, maybe you're not prepared.
Humor might be the first one.
I think humor is the first one.
I think it's incredibly important.
It is. You have to have a sense of humor.
Right? If you don't, then you're
well,
it's just not going to happen.
It would be sad if you missed how funny I was.
Think about how many times humor has saved us, though.
It has saved us a lot. One of your go-tos has got you out of, I don't know if it's
one of my go-tos?
Yeah, but I just started thinking, I don't know if it's acceptable to share it.
It's acceptable.
Do you know what it is?
I have no idea.
Then how do you know?
What is it?
Okay, not minimizing anybody with a medical condition in any ways. Or no, we'll do the sleeping one.
You got to tell the other one. I'm excited to hear it.
I got to tell it. So everybody says things that, kind of surprises themselves when it comes out. Like you say something and you don't quite catch it and pull it back in time. Or you don't realize how it lands until you see your partner's face and you realize, I'm in trouble. That did not land right. And one of your go-tos of when you say something that's a little,
I get what both of these are.
So what should I do?
You tell them both.
Tell them both?
Yeah, there's this funny thing. When I was a cop back in the day, there was this woman.
I wasn't going to tell the whole story.
We got to tell the whole story.
We don't need to tell the whole story.
They need the backstory.
All right.
So when I was a cop, there was this woman that every time we would go to arrest her, she would fake a seizure. So it was the whole thing of like, oh, you're under arrest. And she'd be like, I'm having a seizure. And then she would start faking a seizure, verbally telling us that she was having a seizure, which was hilarious. And so we'd have to go through this whole process of like, okay, you're having a seizure. I guess we have to take you to the hospital rather than taking you to jail. She'd end up going to jail anyways. However, it's pretty funny. And because we were together during that time in our life, you knew that story because I shared that story with you. So now anytime I and say something that is like, oh
if
shit.
I start with like the like look. The what?
Right.
And you go, I'm having a seizure.
Or if we're laying in bed, then I just fake like I'm asleep. Yeah. Actually, it's not even when we're laying in bed. I just pretend like.
And you're like, I'm asleep. What happened?
I'm so sorry, babe. I just fell asleep.
I was asleep.
What's going on? Are you okay? Wow, what did I miss?
And then my like, did you just say that? Turns to laughter because it's too funny and it's too cute So
Gaslighting with laughter.
so it gets them out of trouble every time. Also, you never do it when you say something that like requires an apology.
Yeah, when it's bad.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, I'm having a, it's not. It's just, it's appropriate times where I probably should have laughed anyways. And, but you brought the humor out. So
Yeah, I think you have to laugh when it comes to not
Fake
just relationships. Definitely fake. No, don't laugh at fake seizures unless they're funny. But life, right? How important is it? Like it's a challenging thing to navigate this experience that we're all trying to navigate.
My hair's not on it.
And it's like you have to laugh at it, otherwise, like it would just be too hard and too miserable.
Right? I'm working on my laugh line wrinkles, not my frown line wrinkles.
I feel like we all know people that don't laugh at themselves. That's the other thing too, right? You got to laugh at yourself, don't you think?
I'm really, yes. I crack myself up all the time. Sometimes I crack myself up so hard that like I can't understand why everybody in the room, usually Craig, isn't just rolling on the floor. Sometimes you look like, that was funny, huh? And he's...
Steph has this really amazing ability to tell jokes. She's an incredible joke teller. She's so good at telling jokes that she cracks herself up before she's even gotten to like, not to the punchline.
I just start with like the setup, but I'm so excited.
There's so many times where you'll be like,
sometimes I hide my face.
yes. And like immediately I know that something is up because you're like, hey, I wanted to talk to you about something.
I get so... Okay, so humor. So we got the humor down. What's your funniest? What do I do anything to get
funny.
me out of trouble? When I say something.
Not with humor.
Wait, what do I do that gets me out of trouble?
You just flip it. You just do the classic, that's you. Now you're doing this to me? Okay, I see how it goes. Fine. Okay, you just flip it to get yourself out. That's when you feel like you're in trouble. Like when you say something.
That's not a good skill. I don't recommend you do that to your partner. I'm going to have to look at that.
When it's...
You're like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, you're cute. And you're like, you flip it. Okay.
When it's serious stuff. When it's just playful stuff, then you just kind of get like, oh. Then you kind of like, oh, I messed up. You're like, I'm sorry.
Okay, what else we got? Let's move on.
See, that's what you do right there. You just gave a great example of it.
Okay.
What was your favorite part of our trip?
I liked the beach was amazing.
Yeah.
I think I had the best time on the beach.
We came down to Florida and spent the week in Paradiso?
Pensacola? Paradiso? Didos? I don't know. We were in Pensacola area.
Yeah.
In the Pensacola area.
Went and spent...
At the Gulf of Mexico, Pensacola area.
We spent a full day on the beach.
Yeah.
And I think that was my favorite. I know that was my favorite.
That was my favorite part. That was my favorite part. It was amazing. It was amazing. Favorite sound ever.
It was a very nice kind of private-ish, not private beach, but like not busy beach either.
Yeah.
So there weren't a lot of people.
It was like we had the beach to ourselves pretty much.
It was a beautiful day too.
Yes. And we got to see the Blue Angels practice. The Blue Angels were just like, here we are.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the Blue Angels are, they are the Navy's
the best pilots in the world.
What would you call them?
Jet sky dancers.
Jet sky dancers.
They are the jet sky dancers that
They're the Navy's Lariat
be like
team.
Basically having.
They're the Navy's dance team.
I was gonna say, or the Navy's Diettes.
Right.
They're just so close. They do all these things. They're like sky fireworks.
Sky fireworks.
Only
they're pretty cool.
They're just they're beautiful.
So we got like a front row seat to watching them.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you just watched the Blue Angels practice.
Yeah. They flew overhead it was literally like we were just right below them. It was really
beautiful.
Really cool. The Dolphins.
The Dolphins. Oh my God. You get to tell the Dolphins.
Not the Miami Dolphins, not the football team.
The Ocean Flippers.
Yes, I've been leading up to our trip. I was calling the Dolphins in, making sure that they would show up, and they were there within like half an hour of us. Basically, got to the beach. We got everything situated, got our little umbrella up and our chairs out, and then kind of stood there for a minute, and there were the Dolphins. The Dolphins showed up.
And there were several pods. They're called pods, right?
I don't know like how many it has to be considered a pod.
Well,
that would be a good question to ask at the end.
Okay.
We're going to start doing this new thing on the podcast where we answer obvious questions
I thought
that we don't really know the answers
that's
to.
the thing I thought we were just going to do a episode.
Oh,
but we're
going
going
to
do
do
funny
it on
all
every
of them?
episode. Communication.
Okay.
That's the other thing that's really
Communication
important
is
to
step 2. That's a really big one.
relationships.
Humor and communication. We're
Number
making
2,
a great list.
communication. We suck at it.
We do our
After
best.
10 plus years of being together.
You have the oh my gosh, now I'm stumbling. Active listening, active speaking.
No, but in all honesty, hold on, what were we talking about? The Dolphins?
The Dolphins.
So that was really cool. I got to go out and swim by
I'm
them.
yelling. I feel like I need to project my voice to the
I know,
camera,
'cause you
and I
got
totally forget I have a mic
You
on.
got your podcast voice on.
So I'm like,
It's probably best that you're speaking up.
is it?
Yeah, 'cause
the
we're in a
mic's
car.
right here.
I know, but we're in a
It's-
car. We're driving.
It's
loud.
right here.
Things are happening. Things are...
This week.
This week on the Steph and Craig Show. So the Dolphins were amazing. There were multiple pods of dolphins, and we don't know if it's a pod because we don't know how many dolphins go
Schools.
into a pod.
There was many schools
not
of
fish.
dolphins.
But lots of dolphins. The first ones that came through, there was like 6 or 7 of them, and then all day long they just kept coming, more and more dolphins.
Yeah, not
keep
even like
swimming.
there would be different, like we could see different groups of
Mhm.
dolphins at the same time. Like this one's over here and then this one's coming here. There was just so many dolphins.
I think multiple pods is called pod-eye.
a pod. Because like it was a party,
Maybe.
like a pod eye.
A pod-eye.
A pod eye. It
So
was
that
a
was
pod eye
really
of
cool.
dolphins.
That was really one of those magical moments for me because, again, it's like I had been communicating with the Dolphins leading up to this experience, making sure that they knew I was going to be there and that I wanted to see
Yes.
them. And they were like, we got you. We'll show up, hang out for a little bit.
I was also kind of the most afraid at that moment.
When the Dolphins showed up,
Well, and it wasn't because of the dolphins, it was because of you.
why were you afraid?
Because it was red flags. It wasn't the double red flags.
You're going to have to tell what those are.
So
People don't just
look
know
up.
what red flags
Well,
are.
you didn't.
Except in relationships.
It's the
It
same
was the dreaded
thing.
double red flag.
It's the same thing. When you think of what does a red flag mean, it pretty much goes across the board. So
It means
yeah,
go.
it's like the double red flag is like the beach is closed. It's hazardous. It's closed. Don't get in the water. And the single is hazardous conditions, hazardous riptides, hazardous like it's not a good. You don't get in the water. And there was other people out there. We're talking about how we had the beach pretty much to ourselves. I wonder where we were out there, and there were other people out, and some surfers were going. But you saw the dolphins, and then that was it. Is it shaking way too much?
I don't know. It's
I'm gonna
okay.
pause while we go over the tracks. But you were like, dropped the backpack and like,
See you later, babe.
and just were gone. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a red flag. So I was nervous. I was really nervous, but it was all okay. The water was fine.
Yeah.
So whatever flag systems are going on there. Also, we do not, don't get in the water if it's a red flag. We do not. It's not worth it. Don't do it.
This is
just
scene-
our story of what we did.
This is that reel with Ted Lasso where it's the newscaster and the lady's like, we don't condone it. Do it! Do it! Get in the water if there's a red flag.
No.
Don't let nobody tell you not to go swimming in the ocean.
No.
Yes. Live your life.
No.
Live your life.
Baby.
Get in the water. That's what I say. Nobody's going to tell me I can't go swim in the ocean.
It is on record.
The ocean isn't up to somebody's control. If I want to go swim in the ocean, I can go swim in the ocean. It's like somebody's like, oh, don't go outside, it's raining. I want to go outside, I don't care. I'm an autonomous creature. I can do what I
Show
want.
me the red flags without showing me the red flags.
So that was a cool part. Sorry that it scared you. I knew I was going to be safe. You knew I was going to be safe too. There wasn't anything bad. You got in the water too.
Eventually, I got manipulated into the water. No, it was beautiful.
The ocean was,
It was
it
beautiful.
was so peaceful too because I was going to tell you this. I hadn't ever been to a part of the ocean or a part
Mhm.
of ocean. I've never been to a beach like this where
Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Woolly. Let's talk about what's in your clothes. Most fabrics today are loaded with synthetic fibers and microplastics. And every single time you put them on or wash them, those tiny plastics are shedding off into the air, into the water, and even into your skin.
That's why we love Woolly clothing. Their apparel is made from all-natural merino wool. No microplastics, no synthetics. Just high-quality, comfortable clothes that work with your body and not against it.
And merino wool isn't just soft and comfortable. It's temperature regulating, moisture wicking, and naturally odor resistant. So you can stay cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and fresh all day long.
Plus, it's biodegradable and sustainable. So when you choose Woolly, you're not just upgrading your wardrobe, you're making a smarter choice for the planet.
Right now, listeners of the podcast can save 15% off of everything over at Woolly. Click the link in our description and be sure to use promo code Steph and Craig to get that discount.
Wear better, feel better with Woolly clothing.
You could get out in front or behind the waves, depending upon how you look at it.
Okay.
So like there was this section of water where the waves weren't crashing, so the waves weren't breaking, and you were behind them.
So you were just like kind of like in the swelly part.
Yeah, so
where
the
it just
waves
kind of like
the waves were, in between me and the beach.
Yeah, you
and-
could hear them behind us, like
Yes.
behind.
But you could still touch.
Sometimes.
So it was
for
really
me.
nice to just be able to like be in that spot. And out there it was super calm.
Yeah.
Like it was really, every now and then the wave would come in and you'd get a little bit of the swell and the rise, but that was super peaceful.
There
I
was
got to spend
lots of
quite a bit of
times.
time out there just relaxing and
Yeah.
being in the water. So
Yeah.
that felt great. So communication.
Yeah.
Number 2 on our list of what you need for a healthy relationship.
I mean, maybe it's not what you need. Maybe it's like, these are really good things to practice and build upon. And
I think you need communication.
well,
That's like it's not like
I know,
well,
I just felt bad. I'm like, this is what you need. I just like, I
Yeah.
don't want to boss everybody around.
No, I think it's critically important.
Really? Like a red flag?
No, Stephanie, not like a red flag.
What, Craig? Like what then?
Like if you want a relationship, you have to be able to communicate.
Yes.
Active listening, active speaking,
Yes.
all of those things.
Active listening first.
We thought we knew how to communicate too when we got together. Like you probably think that you know how to communicate in your relationship, but you probably don't. You probably don't know how to communicate very well. And we've had to learn, well, what are you looking at me for? Like I'm weird.
Quit being so mean.
I'm not being mean.
Are you having a seizure?
It's just an important thing that people
Yeah.
don't really, like most people really suck at communicating. They suck at expressing themselves. They suck at like speaking their needs.
Yeah, I still suck at it.
Yeah.
I still suck at it way
And
bad.
then also like
I'm trying.
how to listen to people, right? Not just listen, but really, what we could call back to, this is a callback to last week's episode with Paul Brody.
Yes.
He explained it beautifully where there's a bridge, there's this little bridge between two people, and it's not just intimate partners, right? Or primary relationships, but it's anybody that you're in relationship with. There's this little bridge. And the goal is to invite somebody to come across the bridge into your world. And when you do that, you have to let go of your world, all of your expectations, all of your desires, all of your wants, the need to fix
Like when you
somebody
cross
else.
the bridge, when you
Yes.
get invited into somebody else's world, you're just going. You're not bringing your shit with you. You're not bringing
Exactly.
your baggage. You're just going to learn about them and
You're
their
just going
world.
to hear them and be with them and see
Yeah.
their world through their eyes and through their experience. And I think it's a beautiful metaphor of not just how to do relationships, but that's a beautiful metaphor on how to do relationships. Just do
Yeah.
it that way, right?
Yeah.
We also went to New Orleans
Yes.
yesterday.
We did.
Do we want to talk about that?
Sure.
What was your favorite part of New Orleans?
What was my favorite part of New Orleans? Boy, I don't know.
And to clarify, we went to the French Quarter, Bourbon Street, the downtown. I don't know if that would be considered downtown, but
Yeah.
to the heart of New Orleans to
Yeah.
get the experience.
I'm not sure what my favorite part was. I'm not sure. I actually don't. I pass. I don't. What was yours?
Pass.
Pass.
I liked all of it for the most
Yeah.
part. Yeah. We had never been there, so it was actually the church might have been not my favorite part, but one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Like Saint somebody's cathedral or something. Just because I like those old buildings like that and the
I've never seen a
architecture
church like
and,
that.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah. It was huge.
It was very big.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was very interesting.
There was a lot going on. They were setting up for a big festival that was coming over the weekend, so it was
Yeah.
really busy, lots going on. But I'm sure that's how it always is, obviously.
I don't know.
The live music on the streets was
That was
fun.
cool. I liked that.
Yeah.
There was one section where they were there was like somebody singing on the piano, and they had a bunch of like the brass, like the horns, and I really liked that. That just sounded so cool, just hearing it playing right there.
That's like super
to
New
see it.
Orleans too.
I know. I loved it.
So I'm glad that we got that part of it. Yeah.
I think that was probably the best part. And they were like in between the tooting the horns, like they had a smile. You know, and I understand the performance part, you know, where you're playing to the crowd. It just looked like they were legit having fun.
Yeah.
And it was like they were happy to be out there. Or that's my impersonation of it, whether that's the case or not. I really liked that part.
That was really cool.
I really, really liked it.
It's not all that we thought it would be.
Yeah.
Parking was $85.
Like for real.
You know, just saying they could probably charge less for parking
It
and
was
make it
interesting.
okay.
Yeah, that was really interesting. That did kind of set a tone, and I was like, well, okay, I don't know, it just surprised me. There was a lot of things that surprised me.
Yeah.
It just surprised me. But it was cool. It was an experience. It was
One
an
you'll never
experience,
forget.
right? We got to drive over quite a few bridges. That was like over water, like long bridges.
Bridge over. We actually
Troubled
did have a couple
waters.
of troubled watered spots.
Yeah.
This whole trip has been really beautiful, but we have like this. We also realized that we hadn't been on a trip like this for
When did we decide? 22?
3 years. We used to do trips similar to this where we would get away every year, once in the springtime and once in the fall. But after COVID and 2020, they kind of took a temporary pause. So we hadn't been out like this in a really long time.
Yeah.
And we tend to do a lot of not just relaxing and connection and like really being in each other's space, but we also do a little bit of work,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I think there we go. It just
What
brought
is
us
it?
to another.
What is
to
number
part
three?
number 3.
What is it?
You've got to be willing to work on yourself and on your relationship, right? Those
Yeah.
two things. We can lump them together as number 3, even though they're probably 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Like you have to work on yourself and you have to work on the relationship.
Right. Working on the relationship does mean working on yourself, not waiting for the other person to change and start working on themselves.
Yeah. Both things are incredibly critically, like massively important to the relationship. Like the whole first, 5 years of our relationship, we didn't really do much work on ourselves. And I wouldn't even say we were really quote unquote working on the relationship. We were just kind of like living life together and being in the relationship. But we weren't necessarily really working on the relationship. Would you agree?
I mean, I was definitely like unhealthily. I was trying to bend in whatever way I could to make the relationship work.
Yeah.
But like, give me your list of bad patterns and bad coping mechanisms and self-sabotage, and you know, how many ways can you turn yourself inside out? And that's not the way to do it. So to me, it felt like I was working on the relationship, but I was just really practicing self-abandonment over and over again, which really only built more resentments and things to heal from. So you think you're working on the relationship. You think you're, you know, creating a space where that you're just perpetual. So no. It took a while. It took a while to start really
Working on it.
And that
But we've
was
done it.
working on us.
I
But-
think it's more important. No, I shouldn't say more important. They're both equally important, but I think you can't work on your relationship effectively unless you're working on yourself. So it's almost like the inner work process, working on your own stuff, really, that is kind of like slightly above working on the relationship, because any work you do on the relationship is directly connected to how much work you've done on yourself. You're only ever going to be able to like get to certain levels of not just healing together, but like growth in a relationship based on how much work both of you have done on yourself. Because otherwise, that's oftentimes, I think, where people get stuck in relationships, right? Where one person has done more work on themselves to get them to a spot where they aren't reacting and responding, and they've, done different things so that they're wanting their life to be different, and the other person hasn't done a similar amount of work. So then you get into conflict because you really, really, really have to do that work on yourself first.
Or somebody thinks that they're working on themselves and is just judging the other person for not, like, when you're really focused on everything the other person is and
Baby,
isn't
what are you
doing,
trying to say?
Like, it's hard to work on. What am I saying?
Yeah, what are you trying to say? That felt like you were talking about personal experience.
I mean, did that play a role? Absolutely. But like, it really comes down to just like, what are you doing in that space? How are you showing up? To really, it feels, you might have like, how would I say this? It feels really scary and selfish to work on yourself when you haven't felt safe to do that. And so to actually spend the time to work on yourself, it does take away from other things. It does take away from the beginning, and it needs to. And it's not a unhealthy balance. It's just you're pulling some of those resources to you, which is really, really needed. I heard this metaphor, not this metaphor, but it was explained in a way, how they're like, you can't pour from an empty cup. And, you look at whether your cup's half full or half empty, and all of this around a cup. And you have to fill your own cup first and all these things, and it never really made sense. And it was like, I can totally keep pouring from an empty cup. I was like, if your cup's full, you're selfish. It's like all the ways that was the programs that I'm Not Alone with was anything that you took for yourself was selfish, depleting, and you're taken away from them. Like, how dare you? How dare you put anything into your cup? You're selfish, you're greedy. And what you're actually supposed to do, you're not supposed to pour from your cup at all. Like, once you get to this part, your cup is so filled that it can't help but to overflow. And when your cup is overflowing, everybody around you benefits. When you truly love yourself and you look out for yourself, and I'm not talking about all the, you're going to hear all the ego, the cruel, like, whatever connotations that you have. I had those too, which is why I couldn't pour into my cup. And that I thought I could only pour out. And then when you're empty, and you're bitter and resentful and angry and tired and super depressed. And then that feels like you're always having to make up for being tired and depressed and angry, and all the ways that just keeps going. So really, like, I'm speaking to the people that have a really, 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 really hard time filling their cup and feeling like they're always the problem and they're always wrong and all that. Like, fill your cup, like, overflow that shit. Like, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. And the overflow is where you are really able to show up in relationships and give more than you ever thought possible. And it's this happy space, just like this excess of love, this excess of understanding, this excess of peace that goes from that space. And wherever you are in a relationship, whether or not that relationship works out or not, like, you're going to be okay. If you're giving everything, trying to keep a hold of this relationship and depleting and pleading, you're putting all of your existence on this thing. So when you're really feeling your cup, you're going to heal you're getting better, you're getting a connection to yourself, this love to where you feel like you can keep your head up out of sand, maybe get out of bed, just like wherever you are, you're going to be okay regardless of the status of the relationship. And when you are in that space, regardless of the status of the relationship, again, that energy then starts feeding that relationship. And if that relationship isn't going to last, then you're in a better place and when you're going to call if you want a relationship. So it's no matter how you look at it, when your cup is overflowing, you're able to give so much. You're okay regardless. So there's so much in that space. And I know I just went off on a little tangent, but
I think it's beautiful.
yeah.
I think that thing of like not just the fuller your cup is, but if you keep filling your cup and keeping your cup full, you're going to overfill it. And that overflow is what you're able to give.
Yeah.
That overflow is what you're able to let kind of share in not just your relationship, but with everybody, right? So you got to keep that cup full. I really like that. It's beautiful.
Today's episode is brought to you by Heritage Still. Let's be honest, your cookware matters. And if you're still cooking with mass-produced non-stick pots and pans, you're missing out on better flavors, better durability, and better craftsmanship.
That's why we went with Heritage Still. All of Heritage Still's cookware is manufactured right here in Tennessee. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just ironclad stainless steel designed to give you exceptional heat control and long-lasting performance.
Whether you're a pro in the kitchen or just learning your way around, Heritage Still makes your cooking easier, more precise, and more enjoyable. One of the biggest benefits of going with stainless steel cookware from Heritage Still is you won't be exposing yourself or your family to those toxic chemicals in that nonstick cookware.
And right now, for listeners of the Steph and Craig Show, you can save 10% off everything at their website. Head over to heritagestill.us/Steph and Craig and be sure to use promo code Steph and Craig at checkout to save that 10%.
Invest in cookware that lasts a lifetime. Heritage Still, chef-grade cookware for less.
I thought about, so I can't express like the 3 and 4, working on yourself and working on your relationship, so incredibly critical and important, right? And we could obviously go off into like what all of the different nuances of all of that is and what that looks like and how to work on yourself, how to work on your relationship, all of that stuff, but that's okay, we don't need to. I thought about the some other ones.
Yeah?
So let's see if I can bring them back. Oh, expectations in your relationship. So like being on the same page, it's really important to have like a shared mission, a shared journey, a shared agreement of this is what we're doing in our life and this is what we're doing in our relationship.
Why don't we just turn that off? Yeah.
And right? Like you and I not just always have each other's back. That's important too, right? Like the agreement that we're always on the same team, regardless of what we're dealing with and regardless of what we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
That alone has been like massively important over the years, because knowing that we have, you can just pull it off and look at it if you want. That we have had plenty of times where it's felt like we've been at odds with each other and going through like the real shitty times in our relationships or in our relationship, knowing in the back of our mind that we're on the same team, we're going towards the same goal of being together, cultivating this relationship, making life together. And even in the darkest of moments, it's like having that assurance that, oh, we're still on the same team, I think is massively important.
The same team, like just having that awareness, that was something that took me a minute to understand, because what I was working towards looked different, what I thought, than how you were working towards it.
What do you mean?
It's like we're working towards the same thing, but I think this action is going to help this, and you thought this action was going to help this. So sometimes the actions that we were taking in this space was goal oriented to this outcome, like same team, this, but we were doing different actions, thinking from our perspective, our programs, our entire existence, like this is how this looks for a healthy move, but sometimes those are in conflict. So it doesn't feel like you're on the same team. So it feels like you're very much working against each other. And to learn that like sometimes I would just tell myself like you're also like you want this, you're working towards the same thing, and knowing that it looks different, that it doesn't, like working towards the same goal doesn't always look the same. If you're on the same team, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing the exact same thing, the exact same actions, the exact same verbiage, that you can be still working towards the same goal, but from different points of view and different perspectives, and not expecting them to look the exact same.
Yeah. I thought of another one. So that's 5. You got to be on the same team with each other, right? 6 is this one. It kind of goes into like working on yourself, but this is a much deeper layer of it. And this is something that we didn't consciously do. It's just something that has happened over the course of our relationship because of all the work that we have done. But you have to understand not like what your expectations are for the relationship or what your goals are for the relationship. All of that stuff is really important, right? You want to be on the same page when it comes to like, do we want to have kids? Do we, you know, like where do we want to live? What kind of like life do we want to create together? That's massively important. And that's probably somewhere on this list of things, right? But what's really important is you have to understand what your subconscious programs are about relationships. So you have these built-in subconscious programs, and the base form of that program is going to be off of what your parents' relationship was. And it doesn't matter what your parents' relationship was. It doesn't matter if it was a healthy relationship. It doesn't matter if it's a toxic relationship. It doesn't matter if you didn't have both of your parents in your life. Whatever your base form of mom and dad is, that is a subconscious program that's going to be playing out in your present day relationship. And there's nothing you can do about it. What I mean by that is it's like, well, no, that's not going to affect me. It's 100% going to affect you. You can definitely change that program, but you can't change it until you have awareness of it. And if you don't have awareness of it, it's going to just be operating in the background. So we have so many things over the course of our relationship that were really just the program, quote unquote, of relationships that was playing out. We were just simply going through the motions of this is me being in the program of husband and relationship, right? And you're just in the program of wife and relationship. And if you don't understand what that subconscious is, then like I said, it's just going to be happening regardless. So that's really, really important. Like if we were going to give a list to people getting married, right? Like we have some friends that just got married recently, like really get curious about what that subconscious program is of relationships. Because you can set all the intention in the world that you want. We want to build this type of life together. We want to cultivate this type of happiness and build this type of relationship. All of that's necessary and all of that's really important. But that is not going to happen unless you also have awareness of the subconscious program that you have about relationships. Right?
Right.
I wish we would have had awareness of that.
Yeah, that would have been helpful for sure.
Yeah. That would have like fixed a ton of things.
Yeah.
If we just would have been able to see, oh, wait a minute, this is probably us coming from and operating out of that subconscious program rather than anything up here on the surface that we thought it was.
One of the ones that I have is depending on the role that you take, and this goes right perfect into the subconscious patterns.
Is this number 7?
I think so.
Cool.
So
We're moving through this list fast,
I know,
baby.
right? It's being willing to be wrong and being willing to be right. And you got that one right away. When you have that subconscious program where you're always wrong, then you have to be willing to be right. In a relationship, you have to speak needs, speak up for yourself, speak up, speak your needs, speak your wants, speak your thoughts. It's not a declaration of anything other than you're like, and you get to be right. You get to, and I know that we look at the like, no, it doesn't really matter who's wrong or right in situations, but you get to be right. And sometimes apologies are needed. And if you have the programming where you're always right, and if people would just shape up and fix their shit, then you got to be able to be wrong.
Why is everything a passive-aggressive response to Craig?
Interesting, because I started with, how come every time there's something you turn it towards that? It's like,
Oh. Interesting.
Right?
Is that what I'm doing?
I mean, who knows? We'll let them tell us. Being right and being wrong are really healthy to that. You got to have this give and take. And if you think you're always wrong or you think you're always right, then the relationship is hitting a wall, because nobody is ever wrong. Nobody's always wrong. Nobody is always right. And if you think you're always wrong, then chances are you're just self-abandoning and self-sabotaging. And if you think you're always right,
You're doing the same.
then you're doing the same.
Yeah, there's still self-abandonment there and self-sabotage. We definitely played those roles.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a really interesting thing about relationships is those two roles, the person that thinks they're always right and the person that thinks they're always wrong, probably are going to be embodied in the relationship.
Right.
There's probably going to be somebody that thinks they're always right and somebody that thinks they're always wrong.
You attract each other.
Yes. And that goes back to understanding what your programs are about just relationships themselves.
So it's that great sub-programming.
Right. And
works.
like, maybe this is number 8 on the list is, it kind of goes back to like, we're on the same team with each other. If you are listening to this and you're suddenly like, well, if I'm the one that's always wrong, that means that I need to be right, which means they need to be wrong.
Oh, good catch.
You don't
there.
have to, like, you embodying some other form of, like somebody that feels like they're always the one that is wrong can start to make the shift about, I'm right in this situation. It's not always equal.
You don't have to make somebody else wrong.
Yes,
to
in
be
order
right.
for you to be right. Maybe that's number 8, is it's not always going to be equal. And the truth is,
Yeah.
it very rarely is. It's not a 50-50 split at any given point in the relationship. Whether it's, like the amount of energy that you have in any given day, that's something that we have awareness of a lot, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like some days you're showing up with your best and your best is only like 30%. And so the other person can come in and help, offer up the rest of the 70% so that for that day you can get to 100% as a couple.
Yeah, we've had some fun moments with that. Some days you're like, I got 30, and I'm like, well, we're fucked because I got like 20.
And then that day we're only given 50.
But right, that's still 50%. And then there's other days. I think once you told me you had 30, and I was like, I've got 70, and I'm like, we got 100%, babe.
Right?
And it was just like, yeah.
Yeah, and some days it's not, like some days you ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Some days we're at 10.
Right.
But letting go of the idea that your relationship is going to be equal and that like that balance is always going to exist where it's like, well, if I'm right about this, then that means the other person is wrong. 99% of the time, it's both, because what's really important is that's the whole thing of you got to go across the bridge to their world. You have to see it from their perspective, not worry about what your perspective is.
Yeah, I was going to circle back to the on the same team working towards the same thing, that oftentimes your actions can look contradictory. You look like you're choosing different things, but you're really choosing what you think is the best way to get to this thing, or the best action for this outcome, and they're choosing the best way or the best action to get to this outcome, and it just doesn't look the same because you have different thoughts, you have different perspectives, and you're still working towards the same thing. And so like all of that still just like wraps into this beautiful dance of communication all the way back, communication and laughter. Oh my goodness.
Was that 7 or 8?
I think that was 8.
Okay, I've got 9.
You got 9?
Yeah, this one's really
Okay.
important too. So we just celebrate, like we said, this is our 10-year anniversary trip that we're on. So we just celebrated 10 years of marriage, but we've been together for 13 years. And if there's one thing that we can like definitively say without a doubt, like there's no argument here. If you want to argue it, fuck off.
I mean, should we?
Not you.
I know, but you said we can say, you're like definitive. I'm like, should we
No, we're on the same
touch
page.
bases
No,
on it
we're on the
first?
same page.
Okay.
I'm going to telepathically put it into your head and you're going to be like, yes, I agree. You're going to change.
Oh, shit. You're right.
Each one of you
yeah.
is going to change.
Repeatedly.
The person that you marry is not the same person that you're going to be with after 5 years or after 10 years. Even if you think they are, even if you're like, they haven't changed a bit, they have. It's just human nature to change and be different. Your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, your wants, who you are in life changes and evolves.
And it's a good thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's
a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And it can be scary. Like change, we associate change with bad and negative. You know, we don't really notice as much change when things changing when they're good, you know, when they're going well. And so any kind of shift, any kind of change, a lot of times we have a sub-programming, a fear underlying that change equals bad, change equals pain, separation. And that's, I mean, change somebody can leave your life, things can go wrong, obviously, but change doesn't mean that things are going wrong, even if that change is hard. A lot of times.
Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Routine. We've been on the hunt for an electrolyte powder that we can add to our water each day, and we're excited to tell you that we've found it. Morning Routine is a special blend of organic lemon, apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, and all the other essential electrolytes that you need for each day. Morning Routine is also non-GMO, it's organic, it's dairy, gluten, sugar, and soy-free, keto-friendly, 100% vegan, and made right here in the USA. It's made with organic lemon and doesn't contain any synthetic dyes or preservatives. There's also zero sugar, which blew me away. I tried it for the first time recently when I was outside doing yard work on a hot day, and it seriously made me feel like a kid again because it tasted like a fresh glass of lemonade. Right now, listeners of the podcast can save 10% off anything at Routine. Head over to yourroutine.com/StephenCraig and be sure to enter in the promo code StephenCraig at checkout to get that 10% off. Start your day off right with Morning Routine. Your body will thank you.
That really hard stuff that you go through, those really hard change, are the building blocks. And that's not saying that things have to be hard. It's just that resistance to change, that resistance to your partner changing, that resistance to allowing yourself to change in a relationship is one to get curious about, as it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and if you can look at it as the gift that it is, it's the beautiful thing that happens. Like, it's human nature to evolve and to grow. And if we get stuck holding on to like the image of who that person was that we got married to, or like if I constantly tried to keep you and who you were into the box that you were when I met you, then all of that like conflict and all of the resentment and all of this stuff builds up internally, rather than looking at it as the gift of getting to like over the years, you know, we've struggled when it comes to how we're changing and shifting, and it's like, I don't even know who you are anymore, and all these things, and like there's all of these patterns and stories that have played out over the course of our relationship. But really just the opportunity to look at it as like a gift to be able to walk with somebody. I thought those were orange trees.
I was like, we're in Alabama.
Gotta pull over and steal some
Are there's
oranges
oranges?
off those trees.
Oh my gosh, be knocking on the doors. Please, please, please. Can I have some oranges? Not please, please.
Police.
I just realized police, orange. No,
but it's a
please,
gift
may
to
I?
walk with somebody and to share life with somebody and get to watch them change and evolve and grow. So it's like every few years you get to meet your partner again and again and again. And if you're communicating on a regular basis, if you're connecting on a regular basis, if you're working on your relationship, if you're doing all of those things, then that process is just a real gift. Because again, it's like, you wouldn't want your partner to stay the same. Like, I wouldn't want you to be the same version that you were
I was
when we
thinking
met.
that. I wasn't going to say that because I don't want you to feel attacked. But I'm like, I would not be with the you that I married.
Right?
The you that we just started with, like that. Like, the change that we have made has been really, really good. And also allowing ourselves to change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like really...
Yeah, I think
Because
that's
so much
massive.
of it, you know, just like allowing them to change, but you have to get to know yourself again too throughout it. Like, what do I really believe? Do I still believe this? Do I still feel this? Getting to know yourself along the way so you can keep being curious about your relationship and life and each other and yourself.
I got number 10.
Do you?
Yeah, what was
is
your big breath?
I don't know.
No, you had something.
Maybe, but that doesn't mean I'm going to share it.
Oh, baby.
Oh, you'll just have to be okay with not knowing my every single thought. I believe you'll be okay.
I don't think I will.
Well,
So number 10,
yeah.
and we can do 11 too.
What is 10?
Your partner is your greatest mirror.
Now, come on. Like, that is mic drop.
right?
That is mic drop.
If you
There's no
understand
11.
that, like if you really, really understand that, then you're going to be able to navigate relationship with each other so much better. Because, and what I mean by your partner is your greatest mirror. Everything that you have everything inside of you that you can't understand, that you struggle in facing, everything that you don't want to deal with, you will project that outwards onto your partner. And so suddenly it becomes, that was our turn, we got to do a Yui.
Sometimes that happens in relationships too.
Yep, you missed your
You're
turn.
just like, you know what? We just got to
You
do
gotta flip
it.
this bitch around.
I think.
That sounded terrible. But yeah, right? Say more about like navigating
say
this
more
term,
while you
about
go.
your partner being your mirror.
They're also like, because they're reflecting all of the stuff that they not only reflect the stuff that you project. So what you're projecting on them is, you know, what you need to be looking at yourself. Like, for instance, great example. I'm not going to go there. What your partner is projecting onto you. They also, it's like this change thing. They're also projecting, or you're also projecting your greatness, their inspiration. When you're seeing these qualities in your partner that you're like, man, like, allow them to motivate you too.
Yeah,
allow
the
them to see
shadow.
their greatness and allow that to inspire. And when you're projecting on them, you're looking at where those things can come up. But it's not just a mirror of shame and like, what's wrong with you, and now you really need to look at this stuff. It's a mirror of like, look at what we're building, look at who we are.
Yeah,
look
all
at
of your
the stuff.
greatest
It's
qualities that you
inspiration,
have a
yeah.
hard time really owning and stepping into
Yeah.
and embodying within yourself, you will take those as well and project those out onto your partner. So you'll see all of your greatest qualities on your partner just as much as you will see all of your greatest fears maybe, or your greatest weaknesses. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you miss your turn, you just take a U-turn, and then you're good to go.
Right back
Like
on
30
course.
seconds maybe? Come on, that was nothing.
Right back where you're supposed
Right?
to be.
It was okay.
That's a good list, babe.
I think that's a great list.
We did it. We came up with it on the fly while we were driving. What else do you want to add?
Subscribe. Come join us. You know, 10 years of bliss here. We're still going. We're still going. I don't have anything else. I've been waiting to take a drink of my orange juice because I don't want y'all to see me chug it straight from the bottle.
Chug it straight from the bottle. You got to sweep
it's almost
left.
gone.
It's just orange juice
It's
too.
not
It's
just
not
orange juice. It is incredible, delicious Florida orange juice.
This episode is brought to you by.
Is it by Coral Reef? I mean, it's not, but if you want to. So we're in Florida, and I wanted fresh Florida, yummy, yummy, yummy orange juice. And we're at the store, and you just see the Tropicana, even Florida orange juice, right? The brands. And I'm like, I can get that same brand. And I just wanted, they had like local, anyways, this one was the local Florida, like small batch, and it's fantastic. So we've been drinking this since yesterday, and we just got a new one for the ride home. And there wasn't room for this one in the cooler, so we had to sit here and pound it. And
You're gonna
it's
finish it?
amazing. Yes.
Chug it.
Why, I don't,
Drink it. Chug. Chug.
You know, I haven't felt into peer pressure about drinking since I was in high school, so
Well,
maybe
here we
tone
go.
it down a little bit.
There we go. She did it. I'm so proud of you.
I
You
took
didn't
a-
chug it.
You're right. I'm not going to sit here and open my throat on camera. Would you like to finish it? I'm a backwash for you. I don't chug on camera. Come on.
We've talked a lot about on the podcast new offerings and new things that we have that we're sharing with the world and everything like that. And we're finally at the stage where we're kind of giving them birth and setting them free. And so you can work with both of us. Or if you go to stephandcraig.co, that's our website, you can find links there. Prism Light Weaving with Steph and then Coaching with Craig. It's available now. You can go learn more about us and sign up for that.
Yes.
Also, there was something else I was going to mention. I can't remember. Oh, Substack.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it.
Go follow us on Substack. We're sharing a lot of stuff there on Substack, and we're going to continue to be doing so. So
Yeah, every like, follow, share, support, comment, all of that really, really helps us. So does purchasing from our sponsors. So thank you for being here. And until we meet, sometimes we meet you all in person, and that's wonderful.
That is
Sometimes
exciting.
we end up being neighbors, town neighbors with people that we've talked to on podcasts.
Yeah,
So
that's super cool too.
also, that's not an open invitation for the world. Suddenly my turtle shell just came up. I'm like,
We were talking about what were we talking about on the way down? A commune or
oh yeah,
some sort of like place, some land, some what would we call that?
oh, we don't know yet.
Okay, she's like, shut up. We're not.
We don't know
talking about
yet.
That on the
We
podcast.
do not know yet.
Expect the best.
Plan for the greatest.
See y'all soon.
Got a wild ride. Wait and see, you and me. We were meant to
Thank
be.
you for listening to this podcast. You've made it all the way to the end, and we are so grateful for you. If you have a moment, you could take time to like, subscribe, and share this episode. It really helps us. And also, if you liked this episode, which you're still here, so you probably did, you might like these clips too. And again, thanks for supporting the Steph and Craig Show. There's new episodes every week. See you next time.